Don't pay Toyota big bucks to recalibrate your TSS sensor. Well, good morning, everybody. How are you today? Pretty good here, and that's right. Don't pay Toyota big bucks to recalibrate your TSS sensor. You know, this is something that you can do yourself, and I've heard Toyota is charging up to 600 bucks to do this little recalibration. Now, if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, let me show you here. On the front of your Tacoma, if you haven't gone with the TRD Pro style grille, you have this emblem, right? And behind this emblem, there is a sensor that will set off all kinds of lights and things if you mess it up. Now, by messing it up, I mean if you lift your truck, in some cases. Now, if you leave the original grille with the original emblem on there, that's where I think you might run into a problem if you've lifted your truck. Now, the reason I say that is because if you lift your truck, obviously, it's going to be higher, right? I mean, that's the whole idea. In doing that, if the sensor is still in the original grille, located about this spot, let's say, if you lift your truck higher, the sensor is going to raise, right? In some trucks, when you do that, it causes malfunctions of the system because the system is now seeing differently, right? You've raised it up in the air. Now, I say if you have the original grille because when I lifted my truck, I also changed out the grille to the TRD Pro style, right? Now, the TRD Pro style grille actually relocates the sensor down here, a little bit lower. So unless you go nuts in raising your truck, putting this grille on kind of compensates for the increase in height on the truck, right? You raised the truck, but you lowered the sensor, no problems. And that's the case for me. I haven't had any trouble since I lifted my truck. No warnings, no malfunctions, no problems. But I know there are a lot of people out there who have. And people have contacted me and said that Toyota will recalibrate it for them, recalibrate it. But they're charging anywhere from $200 to $600 to do this. And I'm telling you, before you go in and you spend that cash, give this a try yourself. At least I would anyway, if you're comfortable with doing it. Now, what I'm talking about, all you need are some little washers, right? That's right, washers. Back here in the back, let's take a look down here. The TSS system is actually right here. This is the sensor down here, right? Let me turn the camera around a little bit, maybe get you a little bit better angle. So the system is located right here, and it would be behind either your original Toyota emblem or the aftermarket as I showed you on the TRD Pro grille. Now, in this sensor, there are screws, and all you have to do is change the angle of that sensor so that it sits in the right location. In other words, so that it sees out of the front of your truck properly. To do that, all you would have to do is take one of these screws out, depending on the problem that you're having, and put some washers behind it. Shim it, in other words. So what you want to do is you want to change the orientation of that sensor so that it looks the same way that it did. Let's say this is the sensor, right? Or better yet, let's say this is the sensor, right? And it's in your grill, you know, like so. What you want to do is put some shims behind the bolts, depending on which way you want to change the sensor. Obviously, if you want to change it this way, then you would need to put shims in to do that. Or if you want to change it this way, then you would shim it to point further down. It depends on what you've done with your truck, whether you've lifted it, lowered it, or possibly done nothing. That's all you really have to do. Now, as I mentioned, the dealer is charging a fortune to do that. It's absolutely absurd. If you look, you can access that sensor from the top. Right now, my grill is on, as you saw, and I can reach the bolts and everything in here, or the screws, so I could get them out, and I could actually put washers behind it. Now, I'm not saying it isn't going to be a tad cumbersome, It probably will be, as any mod or anything that we do is. But well worth a try before you take your truck in my opinion, and spend that kind of money. Now, I mentioned before, you should only do this if you're comfortable, right? Never attempt any mod that you're not comfortable or feel safe in doing. For me, I would certainly give that a try before I would take my truck in and spend that kind of money, because that is what Toyota is going to do. Now, there's a misconception out there, I think, that Toyota is going to somehow reprogram the truck. They're going to change the software. There is nothing that they're doing like that. They're not going in and doing a reflash or anything like that to accommodate your lift. And how could they? Could you imagine how many different versions of software they would have to have? I mean, they don't know what lift people are putting on, right? Whether people are raising or lowering or what we're doing. So there's no way that they would have all these different variants of upgrades to take the truck in. So the thinking that they're doing some kind of a programming change or something to recalibrate that TSS sensor is just absurd. Anyway, I just wanted to go on here, kind of go over that a little bit, because I get questions. People ask me a lot, and I assume it's because they're having problems, if I'm having problems, or what I've done to recalibrate the TSS system. Of course, I've been lucky. In my case, I haven't had any problems, so I've done nothing. Now, one other thing I wanted to mention, I am working on a mod for the truck now. I am going to change out the grill, and it is going to incorporate the OEM style badge, which is going to move the TSS sensor up here. So I will have a lifted truck with that sensor located back where it would have been originally. So it's going to be interesting to see if I experience any kind of an error code or message and have to do this mod myself. If I do, I certainly will give it a try and tackle it. I can always go back to the TRD Pro grill. Anyway, I just wanted to get on here, like I said, talk about that a little bit. I think this is a simple thing to take care of if you're willing and comfortable to do it. Leave a comment, let me know if you've taken your truck in to have it recalibrated, or if you've handled the issue yourself, assuming you even had the issue. I'd be curious to know. Also, real quick, if you're interested, I have 2 additional channels. The first is RobMotive JT, all about my 2020 Jeep Gladiator. The second is RobMotive Civic, all about my experiences with the Honda Civic Type R and the Honda Civic Sport Hatch. Check them out if you're interested. Please consider subscribing. Don't forget to click that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. And do me a favor, smash that subscribe button on the way out. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.